5 reasons why you should solo travel. Yo, and we are back with another video done by yours truly, by me. And it's been a couple of weeks since we've been here. Like, it's been a couple of weeks since I've done a video, but I had to take some time off to really think and really get some things together, but now I'm back. So this video is going to be, as the title says, 5 things that I think are the most important reasons on why you should solo travel. These are the most important 5 things to me, no matter what. These are things that I actually had to discover and figure out for myself. But funny enough, I didn't figure it out until I was traveling by myself, until I decided to take that step to do a bunch of solo traveling. And it has been the most rewarding thing, but now I want to try my best to share what I've learned with you. And the first thing that I've learned as to why you should solo travel is exposure to new things and new places. I think that is the number one thing, right? And obviously the most obvious thing is traveling to new places, because everything is not about McDonald's, Burger King. Everything is not about the Walmart or the Sam's Club. You'd be surprised at things that you find whenever you're traveling. So, for example, whenever I was in Japan traveling abroad, you would be surprised how often I walked into buildings that was 3 times older than my country's history. So, and they reinvented it. They renovated it and they turned it into a mall, but the building and the structure itself they maintained, but it was 1,000 years old. Or even like that time I walked through a medieval castle while I was in Germany that was built in the year 1000. So you learn about different things by just traveling, and it's a different level of exposure as well. So I would say definitely travel to experience new places, to see new things. And your world is very, very small. And the places that you've gone to are very small in comparison to what's really out there. So the second thing that I think is important for traveling, number 2, is expanding your mind. It's not really something that you really get a feel for until you get out there, but this is only while you can get mindset expansion whenever you travel with the group, sure, but whenever you're with the group, you're more so focused on making sure everyone's having a good time. You're focused on worrying about what other people want to do. You're really trying to be more collaborative, right, and do what the group wants to do. But whenever you're solo traveling, that's when you really get to figure out like the different culture, the different experiences. You really get a feel for communicating with different people that don't necessarily look like you. You find out, somewhat of who you are. And that mind expansion is so important, because one thing that I've learned when it comes to solo traveling is that you really don't realize who you are until you go somewhere else. Right? You really don't realize it. And one thing that I learned about that, even in all of my travels, is that one thing that changed my mindset and changed who I am as far as an individual is that it humbles you. It simply humbles you, right? You think that your struggle is a real thing until you go to a third world country and you're like, yo, people are really out here starving, or this world is not developed at all. So you begin to have an appreciation for different things. and for different places. And that's that mindset expansion, because everything is not what the news tells you it is, or everything is not what CNN tells you it is, or everything is not social media. And so it gives you the opportunity to not only see the world for what it is, but also get outside of what people are telling you to really discover things for yourself. That's what that mindset expansion does. And so typically, a lot of people don't really know what a mindset is. So here's a fun fact, right? A mindset is not a series of habits or a discipline. It is not doing something every single day. A mindset is whenever you set your mind to do something very specific. It's like you're moving the bar a little bit higher than where it would normally be. And mostly the mindset goes into more so goal orientation. But whenever you set your mind to do something or change your mindset, you really change the frame of thinking. You really offer yourself, but not only others, a different perspective. And more so than anything, it benefits the people that you love. It benefits your community. It benefits your friends, because now you can come to them with a different conversation, with a different perspective, even though they might not have gone to the places that you've gone, or they might not have seen the places that you've seen. And it's so cool because whenever you have the opportunity to share something with someone that you know they didn't know, or that they tell you that they didn't know, it's almost like their face lights up. It's almost like now you're sharing a piece of your adventure and a piece of your story with them, as if they were there. And it develops your storytelling ability as well. And you can take people to places that they never thought that they would go. Even if they've only seen it on like Discovery Channel or National Geographic, you can take people there. And that's the benefit of expanding your mind and changing your mindset and really developing to be something or someone that you would never thought you would be. And point number 3, which is something that I added in point number 2, is that you meet new friends. You meet new friends. I can tell you a quick story. Whenever I was in Mexico, for example, I stayed in a hostel. Now, for most people, as you may know, staying in a hostel may not be the most safe thing. So I wouldn't advise everybody to just simply stay in hostels. Make sure you're safe. Make sure you do your research. It is so important to do your research. It is so important to have a plan, to be able to identify the things that are around you, and also do some research on the country that you're going to. But I stayed in a hostel, and in that hostel, in this one room, there were 3 bunk beds. So in those bunk beds, you have people, of course, on top and bottom, but I slept on the bottom. While I was there in Mexico for an entire week, traveling from one portion to the next, there was this guy that walked into the room, and he was Korean. I would have never thought that I would have met a Korean outside of maybe going to Korea, right? So that's so important to like understand and get a feel for, because he spoke my language, but he also spoke Korean, and then we followed each other on social media. He has a great following. He does a lot of amazing things, but he was there on vacation. While I was there, I met a guy from Japan. He was only there for one night, and he didn't really have a whole lot to say because he was tired, of course, but I met him. While I was there, I also met this young woman who was a backpacker who traveled from South America to Mexico, and now flying out of Mexico to go all the way back to England. And she was a solo traveler as well. She traveled with one backpack. Everything that she needed was in her book bag, and she was there. We exchanged social medias, and we follow each other and keep up with each other till this day. And so you meet new friends. And ultimately, whenever you go to these different places, you'd be surprised how often people look at you and they say, "Wow, are you traveling by yourself?" And you say, "Yeah." They were like, "Wow, you're so brave. You're so amazing. I don't think I could do that." So in that statement alone, there's some level of inspiration, even if it's just a little bit, because not only is it inspirational for you because what you think you're doing is kind of like, oh, I'm going to another place or another country by myself. This is a big deal. But for them, they say, I would never be able to do that. But them seeing somebody do it is a level of inspiration, because they like, well, they're always going to think back, right? They're going to think back to, hey, I met this guy who was traveling by himself. They're going to say, I might be able to do that one day, or maybe not. But it is a story that you can share. It is a story that they can share and tell with somebody else. And that inspiration transfers, that inspiration travels, and it goes far. You'd be surprised how far some of the things that I've told people or some of the things that I've done, how far it has traveled to other people's ears. And it's just like, wow, that is amazing, right? So meeting new friends, being an inspiration to other people is top tier, because it shows how much of a servant leader you are, but you don't actually understand your growth until you get back from wherever it is you're coming from, or you hear somebody say, I was inspired by you. Like, you really don't understand the impact, because for you it's just living your life. But that's one of the most important things of solo traveling, is experiencing new friends, meeting new people outside of your circles, and inspiring others. The fourth thing, number 4, and I want to say more of the more important ones, is expanding your comfort zone. Simple as that. Simply expanding your comfort zone. It is probably by far one of the most important things that you can do, because expanding your comfort zone can only be done by constantly facing your fear. And facing your fear will only make you a better person. Like, that's all facing your fear does. That's all expanding your comfort zone does. I'm a praying man. So, for those people out there that pray, my followers, for those that listen, whatever, whenever you ask yourself to expand your territory, whenever you ask God to expand your territory, that's you asking him to expand your comfort zone. Expand the arena that you dwell in to make it bigger, right? And so that involves you doing things by yourself. That involves you going beyond your normal capabilities. That involves you pushing heavier weight, right? So that is the one thing that I can say is getting out of your comfort zone is only going to make you better. It's only going to make you stronger. It's only going to improve your mental, physical, and spiritual endurance and strength. And so that comfort zone expansion is top tier for sure. Because, I know for me, there isn't that many things that I typically won't do. Now, there's a lot of things that I'm just simply not interested in, so I don't really care to do. But once you get acclimated to that initial anxiety and fear of doing something that you've never done before, eventually you'll realize or get comfortable with the idea that I'm always scared. I know for me, for an example, I'm always scared. Like, there's never a time that I'm not doing something that I'm not afraid of. But it's that constant idea that I'm fighting it. It's the constant idea that even though I'm scared out of my mind, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, I'm going to do it because it's going to develop that trait, that mental toughness to say, hey, I'm going to push through this. So expanding your comfort zone is definitely important. It's by far one of the most important things out of this list of 5 that is gonna skyrocket you to the next level. And then here's the funny part. So whenever you solo travel, remember, this is for solo traveling. So whenever you solo travel somewhere and you stay an extended period of time by yourself and then you survive and you come back, you look at life completely different, because you're like, what can I do because I survived in a different country by myself without an agenda, without any support, without any friends, where people don't speak my language? Oh, there wasn't a guided tourist that was like, hey, go here and go there, meet me here at this time. No, you can set your own schedule. You can set your own pace. You'll really start to discover that you can do what you want to do. There's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing that you can't accomplish. And you can go at your pace. There is no rush at all. And once you begin to develop that patience, once you begin to step outside of that comfort zone, it'll be all better. So that's one of the best tips ever, is expanding your comfort zone. And the fifth one and the final one is really just establishing a new version of you. Breaking down those walls of fear, breaking down those walls of anxiety. You know, for the longest time, I had not traveled I had got on a plane for the first time whenever I was 21 years old. Got on the plane for the very first time. I didn't know how to navigate an airport. I didn't know what to do. But once I got on that plane, that's when I realized that I expanded my comfort zone. I found myself meeting new friends, and we actually have a group chat now called the Saint Lunatics, and those people are all successful people. It's like 12 to 15 of us, and they're all making good money. They're all doing amazing things, and some of them are married. Some of them have traveled the world. Some of them are professionals and experts in their craft. Like, they're doing great. And so we still have that group chat till this day. We still keep up and follow with each other. But it's those type of interactions that are so valuable and irreplaceable. And you really get to step out and figure out who you are. And that's so important, because figuring out your fears, figuring out your comfort zone, figuring out that you don't need people to have a good time, learning that you can be happy by yourself, are all equitable assets that can make up a better version of you. And then on top of that, you'll start to get a travel bug. You'll start to see the opportunities. You'll start to see how creative this world and the people are. And it makes a difference. It truly makes a difference. But aside from that, these are the 5 things. Subscribe. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments below if you like it, you didn't like it. If you hate it, I love the criticism. I love the construction. Remember, use what you have to create the things that you want. That's going to be a video at some point too, by the way, just to give you something into the future. Use what you have to create the things that you want. And I can probably write a whole entire story about that by itself, because one thing builds on another. But comment down below, hit the subscribe button somewhere down here. Just hit it. I greatly appreciate it. It'll help the channel tremendously. Share, tell other people, and let's do it. Let's make a difference in the world. And I'll see you next time. We out.